Hi everyone, Gary Waterman here, former police officer and recent Christian. I'm sorry I keep saying that, but I think you all need to understand how this is really a spiritual war, and my videos are now starting to show that. The people in charge of our governments appear to be completely corrupted by a misled occult system. So I'm not angry at them because at the end of the day they've been brought up into this system, but it must change. They must start to realise that now from what they're seeing. It's got to change. They've got to step down and let truth and integrity and transparency take over again. So I'm going to show you part one of the video again in relation to this very important document. So I'm going to do part one of this document again. I took the first one off because I was concerned about disclosure issues on a particular part of that document. Turns out I was worrying a little bit too much, but it's probably good that I do this one again anyway. Please look at all the other videos and parts. These documents are now in circulation worldwide. There are now groups forming all over the world, peaceful groups that are challenging their MPs and councillors. Every corner of the globe is now heavily involved in this. It's going to change everything. Okay, so I'm going to read this bit to you. So this document has been created by former police officer Gary Waterman, who since July 2022 has uncovered irrefutable evidence of international government fraud involving the forgery of the Companies House register and the use of forged bank documents that government organisations are allowing to be used in circulation to defraud the general public in relation to the taxation system and real estate. Now, some people don't appear to understand how this is happening, so I'm just going to very briefly explain it again. It is shown in the videos, but every limited PLC and LLP company has to register with Companies House. Right around the world, you've got companies registering all the way through or connected to companies that all go through Companies House, which is based in Wales in the United Kingdom. Now, they cannot trade lawfully until, certainly companies that are based in the UK, until with UK addresses, until they are registered correctly with Companies House. However, what Companies House have been doing, and this is now irrefutable, is when a company starts up, there is a document called an incorporation document. That is a legal document that is signed, has details of the directors, secretaries and addresses, but it also has a company name on it, so the intended company name for that company. Now, Companies House have that document and they attach it to the register. However, they have been then putting a completely different company name on the register, which matches that date. So it's a deliberate forgery offence, a deliberate alteration of that information and putting false information. That is now irrefutable. It's there, it's documented, it's around the world. There's nothing really they can do about this, okay, because there's other evidence corroborating they're all involved in doing that as well. So that is what they're doing, and the reason for that is it means that that company cannot then be held accountable for any illegitimate activity, because you can't prosecute a company or individuals within a company if they're not even lawful and they're not a legal entity. Okay, and Companies House would know this, the government would know this, obviously the legal teams of these companies that are forming would know this, and it's a deliberate fraud. And then what is happening is that our taxation money is being collected and used through these companies, okay? But then you have, because they're false entities, you then have the forged bank documents that are used to falsify the figures for those companies. Okay, so change the real figures of the money that's going through those companies and the real money going to offshore accounts, okay? And of course, that means tax contributors, like most of us are, who want to do our best for this world, are paying more than we should do. You know, and we should be paying way less than we are. I mean, you're talking trillions and trillions and trillions of pounds worth of taxation money has been defrauded from the public over the last few decades. Okay. So, and also, you know, you think you've got companies such as the vaccine companies, they've all been produced in this way and registered in this way, which means they are not accountable for what they're doing. You can't then hold them legally accountable if they're not a legal entity. It's all been done deliberately. It's linked through to the Fujitsu Horizon fraud, the Ben Houchen fraud investigations or inquiries in relation to Teesside area. It links through to the Gaza conflict, everything. You know, so hopefully that sort of makes sense. But you've also got the element of fraud where they're forging the Companies House documents, so you can see that quite easily. They're trying to cover it up by forging the Companies House documents. They're creating duplicate records as well on Companies House that shouldn't be being created. And this is all a way of them trying to hide the fraud, but it's too late. You know, it's here, it's there. And so anyway, there is irrefutable evidence that the system of fraud links closely to Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein, Max Clifford, politicians, government organisations, and the World Trade Center disaster in every way, and very, very quickly it links to them as well. Since identifying the involvement of many government organisations in this, Gary has started to publicise the evidence to the general public, because I knew that the legal system was corrupted, so there was no point getting solicitors. And I've done that through the use of social media. This has been resulting in this has resulted in Gary being contacted by family members regarding current child protection court cases and concerns of abuse within the care system. The very first contact was regarding a case in Hampshire. Now remember, I'm from Dorset, this stemmed from Dorset, and there are connections through my company very quickly to Hampshire and the Isle of Wight. And this links closely to individuals within my company, which I've just mentioned, Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, based in Bournemouth, Dorset, and where I was removed as director after I started to identify the severity of the fraud. And all quickly links to Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I keep getting pulled up than I am. I'm sorry if I am. And the fraud, Gary has since been provided... Gary has since been provided various pieces of information and apparent evidence of concern regarding the child in question in this case during their time in the care, and has conducted, so I've conducted research on organisations and individuals involved and surrounding that particular court case, which is now raises significant concerns. So this document relates to that research. I can't go into specifics about the child case. An emergency court case regarding this specific case was held on the 13th of March 2024, and that and identified the solicitor involved, who appears to be acting for social services, and they appear to have been omitting important information from the court case that would undermine the protection supposedly being provided by the care services, and that raises significant concerns, as well as all the things I'm going to show you in this document. The document shows the evidential links identified by Gary through the use of screenshots taken from Companies House Register and their relevant incorporation documents, as well as research taken from other internet-based resources. This all raises serious concerns about the welfare of the child, not only in this case, but the care service itself. This shows that at least in the interim period, the child needs to be taken from the system of care and placed with a relevant and safe family member until these concerns have been allayed. Gary has been involved in supporting the family. Just going to move that down so you can see it. Has been involved in supporting the family regarding the case and spoken to Hampshire Police directly on 2 occasions, offering to provide irrefutable evidence of a corrupted system linked heavily to child protection concerns, as well as contacting almost 650 members of Parliament. They have not contacted Gary at all, and they still haven't. Remember, there was a video of this. I've videoed the call to Hampshire. They said they'd get the officer in the case to contact me so I can provide evidence. I've heard nothing at all. And the evidence I've got is absolutely crucial to that child's case. Why aren't they contacting me? All they're doing is digging a deeper hole. I'm being compelled to present this information to the public. Okay, obviously the overriding thing is the safety of this child and every other child. So I've got no choice. The police aren't contacting me. I've tried all avenues. I have to release things to public. Gary has grave concerns as from the evidence that he has. Where is it? I've lost myself. My eyes are terrible. Where is it? Grave concerns as from the evidence that he has. This system of fraud and its associated crimes appear to be a main cause of most of the problems across not only society but the world. It really is that big, I'm afraid. The people in control of our country appear to have become completely lost, irrational, and cannot therefore be trusted to govern our nations. Now, as I've said earlier, everything suggests that they are practicing the dark arts. It doesn't take long to realise that there's a Freemasonic element to this behind the scenes, and the head of the Freemasons apparently are practicing demonic and satanical rituals. Okay, I'm sorry to say. Where are we? Gary has grave concerns as from the evidence he has the system of fraud and its associated crimes. Yeah, I've already read that. Okay, the people in control, I've read that. Should be fully apparent taxation system. Okay, so it's just saying there should be a taxation system and things that can be done to remedy it. That's my personal view. However, people might think otherwise. But importantly, here are the contact numbers you need to phone if you haven't already done so. Be firm with the police. Be firm with the action fraud. You need to phone up, express your concerns. Let's apply pressure peacefully to the authorities that we're not going to stand for this. This child needs to come out of this system. Look at the evidence I'm showing you. Okay, make sure you're happy with that it's all true. It is. You can verify it. You can corroborate it. I've shown you how to do that. There's a link here. You can check everything I'm showing you. Phone up. Protest peacefully. Look, you need to do something about this child. Hampshire Police, this is not acceptable. You're not contacting Gary. He's got the evidence. I've seen it. Words to that effect. You need to contact Gary. You need to contact the family. They have evidence that's not being used in this court case, apparently. I'm a former police officer. This is essential. This should not be happening. As a human being, I am absolutely shocked at what is going on, and it cannot go on. Also, report yourself as a victim of this fraudulent system. I've done it. Don't be fobbed off by them. You're entitled to phone up and say you're a victim of this crime. You've seen the evidence. That's my reference number for the action fraud. But you need to get your own. You're entitled to your own action fraud crime number as being a victim. You've seen the evidence. It's now irrefutable. Phone up. Apply pressure this way. It's a peaceful way of doing it. Okay, we need to exhaust all peaceful methods of doing things. This is one of those things. Write to your MPs, contact your councillors, show them the documents, show them these videos, copy the links of these videos, okay, and send them to your MPs so they can see what we're talking about. Okay, you can name politicians. They are now becoming complicit to this crime. Nobody is doing anything about it. That means they are conspiring to allow it. They're conspiring to commit international fraud and international child trafficking and abuse. Okay, you'll see it from this. So phone up, report them as suspects. Let's get the pressure on. Anyway, let's go back to the evidence. So these are just some reports or some research I've done. Now, initially, what really triggered this was this message to me, and thank you whoever this is. I haven't spoken to them since, but they sent a message to me on TikTok saying, flown to the IOM, which I worked out was the Isle of Man, and sacrificed here. Look into wealthy individuals on the Isle in the Isle of Man. Okay, that I didn't think too much of this. Of course, I've never spoken to this person. I haven't been able to corroborate what they said, but this is the message I had from them. I then, very soon afterward, and this is not chance, guys, I was then contacted by the family we've just spoken about as a result of the videos I was putting out. That family then led to an interview, okay, with a particular radio channel, and they have been dealing with sex trafficking concerns for the last 20 years. And they said, Gary, have you heard about the Jersey murders, child murders? And I'd recalled seeing it or hearing about it. So then I've researched it, okay, and it links in heavily to what I've just been talking about and to this child's case. And here we go. So we're now looking at the research in relation to that Jersey Island alleged, it looks like, certainly child bodies and child body parts, and it links into everything. So you'll see, here we go. So this is just showing an article in relation to it. And please look at this, you know, don't just trust me on this. Go and check everything. You'll see it's all there. It's all there for us. Okay, so it's in relation to a hostel, youth hostel on the island. And what I've done, and I'm not going to go through all of this, but there were body parts found. There was a big investigation. The investigation was criticised. They brought in another police officer. Jimmy Savile was alleged to have gone there. He initially denied having any involvement with the property. He then came out, according to this article, of course, this is not what I'm saying. This is a Wikipedia article. You can go and check it out. Jimmy Savile then said, actually, yes, he had been to this location, and we all know what happened with Jimmy Savile with the allegations of child abuse there. So what I've done is I've researched this, and I've looked at who's been involved. So you've got a couple of police officers, the lead investigating officers in relation to this crime, and then there's some politicians that I mentioned throughout. And again, look at this yourself. And it also mentions the police force for that island. So then that information then leads to further investigation. So this is just some information in relation to the police force, and it says that they're pretty much independent investigation from this on this island, and they combat money laundering and terrorist financing It appears as though everyone's linked to that. Now, I'm not suggesting they are directly involved in this, but everything I'm showing you is undoubtedly now linked to a system of international fraud and international child trafficking. Okay, so we're now looking at one of the officers who was the lead investigator. Again, I'm not saying they're involved. So now we're looking at their companies registered on Companies House, okay? And I've verified that through a name and address. So that certainly appears to be them. The research links to these companies. And what we're doing here is looking at the register, so you can do this. I've just screenshot the register and put it into this document so you can see it. So you can see at the tabs here how we're moving through. Okay, and we're looking through now at company registry details, and it links through to this company, Blackpool Town Centre Business Improvements, very quickly. Now remember, there's over 5 million companies registered. These links are all incredibly quick. I am jumping back and forward at one point or another, which actually it looks like it's a long way from each other, the continuity of it, but it's not. I'm literally following a lead, then coming back to a company again and following another lead from people